Hi, I'm Chris and welcome back to the channel. This time we're going to be taking a close look at the Bluetooth sleep mask from LC-dolida. Before we get started, I wanted to make clear that this Bluetooth sleep mask has been gifted to me for review by LC-dolida. However, they've not asked me to pass the video by them before I publish it or to say anything nice. All the opinions I express are mine and mine alone, so hopefully you'll have confidence in what I say. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's open up the box and see what's inside. The mask is nicely packaged. So, first of all, we have the mask itself. Comes in a variety of different colours. This is, I guess you'd call it a turquoise or aquamarine. Then we have user manual. I'll have a closer look at that in a moment. USB-C charging lead. A pouch, presumably to keep it in, and also when you're on the go travelling. Move that over there. And then strangely, a set of earplugs. 3. Obviously one spare, not for those people with 3 ears. Not quite sure why they're included, but anyway. Looking at the mask more closely, it's made from it's almost like a suede type finish. It's padded, so reasonably thick. I have reviewed a different sleep band or snooze band in the past, which was a lot thinner than this. So it'll be interesting to see how it feels, whether it's significantly different or not. It's done very much in the shape of a mask. It's got a padded piece there, which would go over the bridge of your nose. Looking at the rear of it, we've got an adjustable strap. So this looks like an elastic, simple elastic strap with adjustment. As you can see, I'm probably not making a very good job of it, but it allows you to vary the size to suit the size of your head. On the front, we've got the little panel of controls with an on-off, lower volume and raise volume. These buttons do have some additional functions and we'll cover those in a moment. But overall, impressions are it's nicely manufactured, well stitched, reasonable materials. I think I would have a preference for a strap that is more easily adjustable, so either with like a clip or maybe even Velcro. I quite often find these a little bit fiddly, but I guess once you've adjusted it to the size of your head, that's probably it, so maybe that's not actually a problem anyway. We'll also see, just poking out through that little hole there, we should probably see the USB charging lead. Let's see if I can just pull it out. There we go, yep. So that's where you plug your charging lead in to charge them up. So we'll tuck that back in. Okay, so first impressions, it looks and feels quite nice. I think it'll be warmer on the head due to the thickness of the padding, but overall, good first impression. Okay then, let's get it on the head. Right, so first impression, it's rather comfortable actually. It's, as I said earlier, nicely padded. I can feel the elastic on the back of my head, but that's okay. So let's get it in the right position. It's not too tight, not too slack. Right, the first thing I notice is that the earphones are some way away from the center of my ears. So let's see if I can reposition it slightly. Right, so to get that earphone over this ear, actually this earphone is a good inch or so, 2.5, 3 centimeters in front of my right ear. And actually, no matter how much I position it, I can't get the earphones to sit over both ears at the same time. Returning to the earphones, they're clearly intended to be positionable, so you can move them more to the outer edge of the mask if you've got a slightly larger head, or more inwards, maybe if you've got a smaller head, or just to make it more comfortable for you. But I'm finding it quite difficult to actually move them around, and it's very difficult to see inside, but they do seem to be contained in some sort of pouch. So maybe they need a bit more dexterity than I've got, but I don't think they're as repositionable as perhaps you would. Well, that one seems slightly better, maybe a little bit. Now, despite trying to reposition the earphones in the headband a bit further towards the end to give me a little bit more distance and thus get both earphones over both ears at the same time, I've just not been able to do it. And so I'm left with the conclusion that actually it's not big enough for me, or more correctly, my head's too big. So how do I go about reviewing it when it won't fit properly? Well, I do think I can get a reasonable impression of it by just positioning it over the one ear. Now, obviously, it looks a little bit stupid in this context, but if I do that, then at least I will get a good representation of the sound quality over the one ear. And for people who obviously have a smaller head, that's not the size is not a problem. So having done that, I think the sound quality is pretty good. I've no complaints with it. It's reasonably clear. It's got a reasonable volume level to it. So no real issues, and especially if you're trying to use it to go to sleep. You don't want it, well, I don't want it pumping out really loud music. Looking at the buttons in more detail, a single click on the minus button will take you to the previous song, whereas to lower the volume, you need to hold it down for a few seconds. Similarly, the plus button, a single click will take it to the next song, and to raise the volume, you need to hold it down for a few seconds. Looking at the center button in more detail, hold that down for 3 to 4 seconds, and that will power the sleep mask on or off. Whereas a single click will play or pause the music. Or if you're using this to make a telephone call, then it will either answer or end the call. Though why you should be doing that with a sleep mask on, I'm not quite sure. If you actually give it a triple click, then it will contact the most recently dialed number. So clearly for me, the size is an absolute deal breaker. I mean, I can't use it properly if I haven't got it over both ears. But having tried it in bed just with the sort of like the one earphone on the one ear, got to do these things to give it an honest review. The other thing I'd say is the earphones are not quite as comfortable as another brand I've tried. I think it's down to the fact that they're a little bit thicker. I think I said earlier that they're about 10 millimeters thick compared to a previous version. I think we're maybe around the 6-7 millimeters, which doesn't sound a lot, but is actually quite a lot. So I think if you've got your head pressing on a pillow like that, I think they are more noticeable. However, to be fair, there's a reasonable amount of padding around them. So, you know, it's all very much a personal, subjective opinion, but that's my view. So having said that it's too small, I thought, well, how big is my head? So I went away and I measured my head, and it's round the circumference there, it's 24 inches, which is 61 centimetres. Sorry, I'm looking down at my notes. And that in the UK rates as a size 7 5/8. I don't know where they get their sizing ideas from, or an extra large. So in the interests of a scientific experiment and making sure I can present the fullest opinion to you, I got my good lady wife to try it on, and in her case there was no problem with fit. It certainly over her head, positioned on the ears, no problem at all. So we measured her head, 22.5 inches, 57 centimetres, 7 1/8 UK size, medium. So I'd say you're probably okay if you've got a head measurement of about 23 inches maximum. That's about 58.5 centimetres, which correlates to a UK size 7 1/4 or large. I think that would probably be the maximum that would allow you to get the earphones positioned over your ears. Anything larger, I think you're going to fall into the same problem as me, that you just can't get them positioned. I'll just jump in here for a moment, as watching the video back whilst editing, I can see I've just thrown a whole series of sizing numbers at you. So, looking at this table, which shows a range of measurements and corresponding UK sizes, from extra small all the way up to triple XL, we can see where the handyman and his good lady wife's heads fit, or not, as may be the case. After trolling through the frequently asked questions in the user manual, it becomes obvious why there's a problem, as it states the suitable head circumference is about 18 to 22 inches, which, as you can see, is at the very small end of the size range. I can relax, my head isn't too big, the sleep mask is just too small. So given that constraint, and obviously it's a big constraint that it doesn't fit me personally very well, what else do I think? Well, as I said earlier, I'd prefer something different than the elastic band at the back, but that's not a major issue. The feel is quite nice, but I think it's quite thick. I've got reasonably large fingers, and so for me, having a slightly larger panel with larger separation between the buttons would be helpful, because it's not too difficult, certainly if you're not paying attention, or certainly it's dark, you're not looking anyway if you've got this on. It's quite easy to stray and press two buttons at the same time, but I've just got big fingers, so again, not a major issue. I think this is very much a case of it does what it says on the tin. It's a sleep mask. It's designed to go over your head, cover your eyes, as well as provide sound, whether it's music or spoken word. That being the case, I think it's ideally suited to somebody who travels a lot, maybe on a plane, on a coach, want to get some sleep before you get to your destination. I think it's more suited to that than maybe somebody trying to get to sleep in bed. But that's just my opinion, and that's my own personal thoughts about having something that's fairly thick round my head when I'm trying to get to sleep in a fairly comfortable bed. But hey, you take my opinion for what it's worth. Well then, what am I going to do with a sleep mask that doesn't fit me? Well, I'm going to pass it on, of course. So already one of my daughters has eyed it up and said that she's quite happy to give it an extended field trial on her next trip. So it will be going to her very soon, and if she has any feedback, I'll pass it on in a comment after I've published this video. Well, there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Bluetooth sleep mask gifted to me by LC-dolida. I hope you found the review of some use. Clearly the fact that it didn't fit me properly is a major problem, but that's down to the size of my head, not LC-dolida. Having said that, I would urge them to consider whether they can give some additional flexibility in the sizing. Maybe they could offer 2 different sizes in the range. I mean, they offer multiple colours, so it can't be too difficult to actually have a size that's more suited to people with larger heads. Something for them to think about, maybe. One last comment. As this was gifted to me, I didn't know its price, so looked it up on Amazon. At somewhere between £20 and £23, I think it's a reasonable buy, and with an average rating score of 4.1 from nearly 20,000 reviews, that suggests others would agree. They really do need to have a think about sizing though. Also, as far as I could see, there's no mention of the size range on the listing, so I'd be sending it back if I'd bought it myself. Otherwise, I'll call this one done. Hope to see you on the next one. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers!